Hey guys, what's going on? Scals here, joined by Shadow. I know it's been a minute since we've been on here, but we had to come out to you guys tonight because of all the Bray Wyatt news. How's it going, Shadow?
Oh, he's got the whole world.
In his hands. Um, yeah, it's just been so much going on today with everything that's popped up. It all started with um, the tweet he did earlier today, and then
Yeah.
just looking into everything, just seeing all the different things.
Pieces are definitely falling together. Again, this is all speculation. Nobody knows.
It's always speculation with him, and that's what we love about it so much. Is because one little thing makes us do all this.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's trending on Twitter right now again for the second time in like 3 months.
Yeah, it all started with the picture he tweeted out saying, "I will place on his shoulder the key to the house of David. What he opens, no one can shut, and what he shuts, no one can open."
Yeah, and I believe to quote "See Wrestling," I believe that's also a Bible phrase.
It is.
I
It's
believe it.
from. I saw somebody post it on here. I think it's from Isaiah 22. Is
Yeah,
the
that sounds right.
is the quote it actually is. Um, but it's just if you actually look, yeah, it's Isaiah 22:22, um, which if you look at the date, tomorrow is the 22nd.
Right.
So he's giving little hints with little things, and he just loves doing that because he knows there's so many of us that just start looking into it and trying to put two and two together and trying to see it and figure out what's going on.
Yeah, and I mean, me and you are big on that.
Yeah, I mean,
We've been talking all day about this, right? So
we've been talking all day about this. I went on C Wrestling's live stream, and then we went. I'm in his Discord server, and then there was another live voice chat in the Discord server talking about it. So it's been a constant discussion going on throughout the day today.
like I said, he's got the world talking, and it's in his hand right now. It's up to him and the company to decide where this goes.
And it's just we wanted to come to you guys tonight just to give our speculation and our feedback on things. And if you are here, we would love to hear yours as well.
Yeah,
What?
like uh,
No,
one
go.
second here. Continue.
No, you were good. You can go. Oh, apparently he can't go yet.
Yeah, sorry, I had to deal
That's
with
all right.
something there.
That's all right. You back now?
Yeah, yeah. So with Bray Cup, sorry, excuse me, Wyndham and
Well,
Bray.
or Wyatt Six, as he's currently being
Right.
called.
We've been speculating for months now. He's now been gone from the world of wrestling a year and some and change.
It'll be a year on Sunday the 31st,
Right,
which
but he's been
would
out for
have
a year and change because we hadn't seen him since WrestleMania.
which would have been a year exactly from when he was released if SummerSlam was on a Sunday. But because they changed it to this
Interesting.
Saturday, it's a day before the year. So he's technically been released for 300.
Right,
He'll be
and
released for 365 days as of the 30th.
it's crazy. Full circle.
Exactly. One full
Full
circle of
circle
the
around the
earth.
sun.
Yep.
Yeah. But with Bray, Wyndham, Wyatt Six, whatever, Husky Hair, whatever you want to call him, he's maniacal in what he does. He's cynical. We know this. He's very creative. I think if he was to come back to wrestling, I think it's shown that he doesn't want to come back to anything but WWE at this point. He's had a lot of opportunities to show up in AEW. He's had a lot of opportunities to show up in New Japan. He's had a lot of opportunities to show up in TNA.
That would be the
You
only
can't tell
fit,
me it's
in my
money that's
opinion.
keeping him.
Well, Impact doesn't have the money to pay him like he deserves to be paid.
And I mean, even Adam Shear, I think that's how you say it, right? Shear?
Share, whatever it is. He's doing the controlling narrative.
Strowman has even called them out to come to control the narrative, and he hasn't gone there. So, and he just recently started doing signings again in public within the
Mm-hmm.
last what, 4 months?
Yeah, he has one technically scheduled for November as well, but um,
That could change with
things can always
contractual
change.
obligations.
Um,
We can hope, but there's a lot of signs that are pointing it. Yeah, it could just be Edge being Edge and doing what he's doing, but there's just too many coincidences in Edge's vignettes, and we know he's bringing someone with him, whether it's William Morrissey or Wyndham.
ooh, that's the first I've heard of that.
It's somebody coming back with him.
That's the first I've heard of
Well,
that.
there's been theories pitched around about William Morrissey becoming as Edge's long lost brother.
Okay.
I mean, it wouldn't really make sense in the world of wrestling of WWE because everybody knows who William Morrissey is.
Right, because he's already been there as Big Cass, so it wouldn't
But
make sense.
I wouldn't put it past WWE. I mean, they're trying to do that with Elias right now with Ezekiel.
So my question on that, before we go into anything else, is when was Enzo and Cass in WWE?
17, 18, I believe they weren't around in 19. So
So
it's been a while.
They've never been there. He was never there when Edge was there.
Right.
So it could it could be done.
Let me find out. I'm gonna look this up because I'm not. I don't really pay attention to Enzo.
All right, so let's start off with Wyatt's Twitter bio. So today he updated the quote on his bio and added VKM. So VKM meaning Vincent Kennedy McMahon. He added 25 dots, well 25 set of 3 dots if you count them all.
Well, hold on before you get into that. It also could be, as Goalie Man pointed out in the Discord, it could be the Voodoo Kid Mafia. Got to throw that out there. There's a joke.
So he's referring to the Discord server that we have, where we talk about all things. And one of our members did mention that, and I did what I just did on here and ignored it.
I don't ignore that. I pay attention to little details.
But on his Twitter profile, he has those 3 dots like he's thinking 25 times. And then the quote of Vincent Kennedy McMahon, or VKM, is 25 letters. What date is Raw on Monday?
25.
The 25th.
Right.
It's been rumored that Edge is going to show up on Raw in Madison Square Garden in New York City.
Well, alluding to the last vignette there, with predominantly hearing music, Mysterio's is the loudest there, with the mask being the last thing there.
Mm-hmm. And it's Rey Mysterio's 20th anniversary. They're doing that at MSG.
Right. Which you're not going to be at, which I'm disappointed in you.
I didn't say I wasn't going to be at it yet. I'm waiting until Sunday to see what the ticket prices go down to, because if you usually wait last minute, I could probably get a cheaper deal.
Well, right now, this man's not going, and I'm disappointed.
Yeah, it's... I still have 4 days. It's still a possibility.
3 days. It's almost midnight now, right? So, anyways, back to the on topic. With it being the Mysterio's 20th, Edge, it's no secret that Edge and Ray are friends.
So, I don't know if Edge is going to show up there or if he's going to be shown on the last vignette. Because he still has to write something else on the vignette. He left off on the last line. We don't know what it's going to say next.
If I'm dead to be creative, I open the show with that and close it with Edge coming out.
It all depends on what they have.
But you know what I mean? Like if I'm writing,
because what they've done lately is shown 2 vignettes. The first one is usually the repeat of the one from the week before to remind you of what happened, and then the second one is the one that's new.
Right.
So they could show the first one earlier in the night, and then show the second one right at the end,
midway through the night,
or
or midway through the night.
and then they can show who it is, and then if he
Right.
shows up at the end, it'd be a nice surprise for the crowd.
Right. But does he show up with Wyndham, or does he go? You'll see
I
my part. He'll challenge Judgment Day. You know it's coming,
right,
which will add another card to SummerSlam, which they desperately need.
but do we so? Does he challenge it as Edge and Ray versus Judgment Day, or
He could.
does Dom turn on Ray on Monday, and then Edge shows up to save him, and that's how he challenges Judgment Day and says, I'll be bringing somebody on Sunday with me to team."
There's many ways you can go about it, right? And I think you don't want to give Bray away if Bray is the person on Monday. You don't want to do that. I don't think it'd be logically smart for them to do that, because they got to keep the element of, I don't want to say surprise, because wrestling is by far not surprising anymore when it comes to who's coming back, who's doing what. So they keep it hush hush and internal. That's the proper way to do it. Or they could still have Dom turn on Ray and then have it a 3-on-2 handicap match. But Edge goes, no. We're going to bring somebody. And that's when they bring in Wyndham.
Or like you said, Morrissey.
I'm not sold on the Morrissey thing, because I don't really think WWE is interested in him after his health issues.
Oh, I think they're very interested in him after what he's done in Impact and how they saw him on the AEW show, the one week he was on.
Yeah, he looked jacked, so who knows?
But
He's good. But he also, when he left WWE, he wasn't a clean wrestler. Now he's a little bit more honed. And
who else could team with Edge that's currently on the roster?
currently on the roster, nobody, because Randy's out.
Right.
Not many others. All the other superstars, there's nobody that has a real in with Edge other than Ray.
Right. So that would leave the one other person who he's had connections with during his career.
Right. And if you bring in Wyndham, Edge is a huge fan of Wyndham's work.
Well, he also had Bray on the Edge and Christian show.
Right, and he always thought, like I said, he always loved.
And he always said he wanted to work with him.
So I wouldn't not put it past him. I mean, that's the fun thing about being a wrestling fan and speculating. We could go into multiple theories.
Right.
We all think it's Wyatt because all the signs point there.
I mean, there's lots of signs that point there.
Literally. Signs.
Like the 6 light bulbs in the vignettes. One of them having a circle
Wyatt.
in it.
Yeah. The Mercy the Buzzard face within the mirror. Which, shout out again to See Wrestling for pointing that out.
Yeah, See Wrestling. You want to follow things about Bray? He's the man to do it.
And as you noticed, we're actually giving credit to the person who gave us pieces of theory. We're not just taking somebody else's.
When I looked at Bray's Twitter also, on May 31st, he said, "Patience, it's almost time." So 2 months later would be SummerSlam. So he could have been
and again,
he could have been dating himself then.
Throughout history, Wyatt's in with SummerSlam. Synonymous is the word I was looking for.
So he debuted at SummerSlam as Bray Wyatt. The Fiend had his debut match at SummerSlam.
In Toronto.
If he shows up on
Yeah,
next Saturday.
There's another theory. Where's Edge from?
Toronto.
Where did the Fiend debut?
Toronto. If he shows up on next Saturday, it'll be his 6th time at SummerSlam.
Right.
Again, going with the Wyatt 6.
Yep. Which is also would be his 6th incarnation of a character.
Right. If it's not the Fiend or if it's not Bray Wyatt, if it's just something different, and just I don't know. There's been hints on TV itself. Thank you, Range, for the follow. I appreciate it. On TV, you've seen Alexa go for the Sister Abigail 3 times and not having completed it.
Recently tweeting out as of 4 days ago that don't make her go back to her old way. Which would line up again.
Tying that in to the fact that she said that Bray told her to keep it alive. Tying it into the fact that she had the therapy sessions and they said as long as you have Lily, you'll be cured. Does Bray come back and take Lily from her to control her?
Right. And if they're tying it into a feud with Judgment Day, they need a female to counter Rhea Ripley.
Correct.
And Alexa and Bray go hand in hand now.
And that's how you get Alexa's darker character that she's mentioned before.
Yeah.
So there's lots of things.
And Rhea has made fun of Lily in the past.
Mm-hmm. Lily was going after Rhea.
There is storytelling there.
Rhea was the one that knocked Alexa out of the Rumble when she was going to transform. So there is long-term storytelling in there. There's long-term booking. It's just, I don't know.
And Balor being the Fiend's first opponent and being somebody Edge is interested in now. Because I think Finn is the only character not to be disturbed by the Fiend, if you will.
What are you talking about? He went back to NXT.
Right, but he still remains the same.
The Fiend sent him back. No, that's how the Prince came about.
Right, you're correct, yes. Forgot about that. Yeah, you're right. My bad. Yeah, so you still have, which still ties in, Fiend and Balor have history.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Priest has anything history other than with Edge.
No,
that I can remember.
Just with the Judgment Day.
And Rhea. We already have Rhea's tie in here.
Mm-hmm.
So the oddball would be Priest, but I mean he just ties into the Judgment Day faction.
Right.
So.
He's the one that actually attacked the Edge.
It's very, very interesting. And I mean, I'm hoping WWE is just creative as we are, just speaking these theories. But
well, I don't think it's. I don't think it's WWE that's creative. I think it's Bray Wyatt that's creative.
Well, if you think about this, Edge and Bray together, if they can write a creative storyline, I think it'd be probably one of the best storylines in the last 20 years if they can come up with because Edge is a perfectionist. He doesn't lie about that. He's very. Like you watch a lot of him talk about like his TLC matches with the Hardys and the Dudleys. They spend hours just going over minor details. Mm-hmm. Imagine what he would do in a whole storyline. And with the rated R superstar coming back as a face, I'm not sure how I feel about that.
There's rumors that he's coming back as the rated R superstar, but
as a face,
I take that with a grain of salt because that was coming from Brian Alvarez.
Right. But my biggest thing is you bring him back, but the face thing, that's what catches me. I repeated that now 3 times. Sorry.
I know, but how you going to have him come back as a heel when the heel group attacked him?
Well, you can't. But like the rated R gimmick has always been
so it's not going to be the rated R gimmick. It doesn't make sense to be.
But what? Okay, so he just reinvents another gimmick now.
Correct.
Okay.
Because Rated R always had the long hair.
Right. Edge has short hair now.
Right. Edge is not going to be gone for
Yeah.
8 months to grow his hair out.
No, and I don't think his hair grows that fast. So, unless he's wearing a wig, we're not getting the rated R.
Right. So they can have the merchandise and everything, but you got to remember, with the new merchandise swap, it's not even owned by WWE anymore.
Right. It could just be fanatics looking to cash in on
History.
Yeah, exactly. Because they want to get the fans buying into them, right?
Because now it's done through Fanatics.
Still not sold on that. That's another topic.
I don't know.
We have
to see and purchase something and see how the quality is to see if it's changed anything. But
I have a bunch of hockey stuff Fanatic wise, and it's
I don't know. I feel the last wrestling shirts are different than what they used to be. So
yeah, I pointed that out to you. The material's different.
Mm-hmm.
That could have been the already of the change, right? The guard.
Right. Yep. But some of the little nuances and everything with the promos, you have the lock, where
okay, please. I didn't understand this theory, and I think you do more than I do. Could you a little bit elaborate on the lock theory?
So there's a door that's locked. In one of Bray's promos, he knocked 3 times. This was before the Fiend came out and everything. And the first time they showed the lock, there was 3 knocks, like 3 attempts to open the door. So they're tying that in together between the two of them. There's also the fact of what he just said in his picture today, that the one who opens the door can let him out, but they can't go back in. Like, hold on, let me find that again.
He who opens the door can or close the door, kind of thing.
What he opens, no one can shut, and what he shuts, no one can open. So,
which could be either direct at Vince or Edge opening him up,
or what door Wyatt opens, no one else can shut it, and whatever door he shuts, no one else can open. Or one thing that I heard today, while on the multiple live chats I was on, was that people were saying that the Fiend was locked away and he did it to himself.
Right.
And that's how he's evolving into the 6th iteration of Wyatt. And Edge is the one that has the key to it, to let him out.
Edge is unlocking
the door where Wyatt is.
Yeah. Now, this has nothing to do with the recent promos or anything, but let's say Wyndham is coming back Saturday, okay? Or next Saturday, I guess it would be, right?
Yeah, next Saturday.
He comes back next Saturday. Does The Undertaker have a part of that? With being politicking for Bray to be back in WWE?
Possible.
Because obviously Vince trusts Mark Calloway's opinion, and he knows what's good for the business.
There was rumors during WrestleMania weekend that Bray did meet with the WWE brass, and that could have been facilitated by The Undertaker.
Trying to smooth the waters again after all the turbulence.
But I also heard a rumor today that what if Bray was never actually released?
I think me and you have gone over this theory a few times over the last year.
What if His contract was frozen. They claim they released him because they didn't want to have anything to do with the movie that he was doing and they didn't want their names attached to it. And once the movie was done
That
filming, now they can bring him back.
could be that, or because Bray was in the mental state he was, and he's openly admitted he had struggled. They both came to an agreement for a release, so that way they're not paying him to sit at home for X amount of period. Similar to what they did with Nia Jax, but Nia Jax was publicly released for other reasons.
Right. But they could also do, like I said, they can just freeze the contract.
And they can hide it that it's not on the books and nobody would know any wiser.
Right.
Could be. I mean, it's Nick Khan that's in charge right now, or at least dealing with a lot of the day-to-day. And Stephanie's big on Bray.
I was just
Paul's
gonna say,
big on
you
Bray.
have Stephanie and Triple H that came back into the fold.
Right,
Could
and
they
they're
have
big
also
on Bray.
could they have also played a part into it?
Well, I think during the time that the Wyatt family was in NXT, wasn't Triple H running it then? Or at least a major part in it?
No, Triple H was still wrestling when they came up, I thought.
Right, they came up in 13? Or 12?
Let's see.
I think it was Survivor Series 12. No, that was the Shield.
They came up in 2012. And
okay, so I was right.
They went to 2012 in NXT. And let's see when they were called up.
It might have been December that year.
They were called yeah, they fought versus the Authority.
Yeah.
So they were up when Triple H was still wrestling. They debuted on the main roster in 2013.
Oh, okay, so I was right. Okay.
So, yeah, they were up before Triple H started running NXT.
But even then, if the Wyatts started feuding with the Authority, Triple H is comfortable with Wyndham, is what I'm getting at here.
Mm-hmm.
So having Wyndham come back into the fold with Stephanie running things isn't a surprise.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so many coincidences going on.
That's a lot of speculation, right?
Well, that's all this is. It's just speculation. We don't know anything for sure.
I mean, I wish I did, because I'd be having so much more fun with this.
The other thing I forgot was Bray Wyatt followed all of WWE's accounts again today.
Right, you had mentioned that to me.
He followed
busy.
WWE on Fox. He followed WWE. He followed WWE Media Group. Like, out of nowhere. He has not followed them since last year. And he followed WWE on Instagram as well.
Either this, again, is a massive troll by Wyndham.
If so, major props to Wyatt.
He keeps himself relevant, right? No matter what happens here. Because he's been in the spotlight more than our world champions on any brand of any company. He's more talked about than both champions.
It's pretty close, yeah.
And you have to assume, whether it be Fox or what's the other one? USA?
Well,
they have to be begging WWE to bring in him. Bray alone sells more merchandise than anybody.
So, could this be the reasoning for going TV 14?
You would kind of have to.
And they kind of leaked it unintentionally, and that kind of gives it away that he was returning.
It could be, because his character isn't made.
And that's why they said, "Oh, well, it's not going to start the 18th. We're unsure when it's going to change." And SummerSlam was listed as TV 14 for about 3 hours, and then it was switched back to PG.
Yeah.
Too many
because
things.
before the original Fiend mask was too scary for PG era, so they had to tone it down.
Right.
I mean, it wasn't much toned down, but it was still toned down from the original. So it could very well be because TV-14 has jump scare tactics and everything to it.
And I really haven't seen much from
I
Kyle
don't.
Scarborough lately.
Yeah, he's been quiet too, which is very weird. And so has Baker. And considering Baker, I think it was within the last month, said he found the old original concepts for the Fiend, and maybe he should just throw them out. It was just really random for an artist to do. There's a purpose for that.
Oh, Jason Baker?
Yeah, he had tweeted. I think it was in the last month. He had found the original concepts for the Fiend, and he just said he was going to throw them out or something.
Yeah, 4 days ago he said, I've been so blessed to make some pretty cool masks with some pretty cool people for some pretty cool clients. Pretty cool. And the middle one was The Fiend.
Right, spotlighting that one.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's your main focus. You're always looking at the middle project. And if you keep going back, you'll see what I'm talking about his...
And Tom Savini, who's the one that created the belt. Yeah, found this stuff on July 12th. Found this stuff in the back of my file cabinet yesterday. Thought I lost it. All of my original concept art and sketches for masks, gear, and puppets for Wyndham 6, which would eventually become The Fiend. I should probably just burn it.
See? That's intentional. You don't just throw that out there. It seems odd for somebody that's not within... You know what I mean? It's an odd... That's a reach maybe, but it's very odd.
I mean, if you go back to what Bray posted on May 31st, everything good that's ever happened to me first came a period of horrible suffering. I never ask why. I just wait for the rough part to end. I was chosen for whatever reason, and I've got shit to do. It doesn't hurt anymore. It burns. I'm ready now.
And then followed up by that tweet.
And then a month and a half later, he says, should I just burn it? And The Fiend was burned. Like,
right.
If you look at the videos, Mick Foley's flannel jacket was burning.
Right.
John Cena's...
Which the flannel jacket goes back to, I think it was WrestleMania 21.
Yeah, let me finish though.
Okay.
John Cena's stuff was covered in ashes.
Right.
Randy Orton's stuff had fire next to it.
Right.
All three had something to do with The Fiend.
Right, because I think Mick was the first legend person that The Fiend attacked.
Correct, and he's the one that took... That's where he got the mandible claw from.
Right. Randy burnt down his house.
Cena with the Firefly Funhouse match.
Yeah.
He made him go NWO, heel, all that stuff. Beat him up. And then Randy Orton was the one that burned The Fiend.
Right. Plus
he burned down the compound.
Right. If you go back to cult leader Bray, he burned down the compound.
Do they all tie together as well? Those are the only three people that had flames next to them.
Right, and then there's also the picture of not just Seth Rollins, the Messiah.
The Messiah, right? And that was the only only thing he interacted with when he stepped on it.
Right, and that might not have been Edge that interacted with that, because Edge never messed around with the Messiah.
But that all ties back to all the pictures that were on the wall in the Firefly Funhouse. They were all in picture frames.
Yep.
And that was that. If I'm not mistaken, that might have been one of the pictures that was in there that he crossed out the eyes and everything.
I think so. The only loose, and obviously with the medals and the mask of Ray, and other things, that's Edge's part in the big net because he had ties to those wrestlers.
Mm-hmm.
And then Wyndham's wrestlers are there too. But Edge has also crossed paths with all these wrestlers too.
What
So it works as a
what if
worlds collide.
what if the vignette is not so much about Edge? It's for Edge. Like Bray is targeting Wyatt.
Oh,
Bray is targeting
so
Edge.
as hey Edge, I got your back kind of thing. Oh.
Only to turn on him at the end.
Never thought of that theory. Huh. That's truly got me stumped. It could be. You're right. Wild. But that is very... Huh. Yeah, I never thought of it that way.
There's just so much that could tie into this. And yes, am I getting my hopes up? Absolutely. Will I be disappointed? Maybe. But if he shows up on Sunday, who's going to want to watch the rest of the pay-per-view after he shows up? That's all you're going to talk about. You're not going to care what happens in the last man standing match. You're not going to care what happens if Austin Theory fails to cash in. Everybody's going to be talking about Bray Wyatt returning.
And WWE needs a big win right now.
But does that
with
do
everything
it?
surrounding them? Like, let's step out of the Wyndham Edge thing right now. With everything surrounding WWE right now negatively, they need a big win. And this would do it. This would be Cody Rhodes times 10 if Bray comes back.
I don't know. Cody Rhodes is pretty big. He just won an ESPY for it.
Listen, you need a big baby face. Who better than Bray Wyatt right now?
Yeah, but Bray's not a babyface.
Right, but they need babyface to come back because they're trying to keep Judgment Day as heel.
But Bray's not a babyface.
I understand that.
What if Bray comes back, wrestles with Edge, they win, and then he attacks Edge as he's attacking a legend?
Oh. But my point is, he would show up as a babyface, which would pop.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter throwing out all this right now. It doesn't matter. If Bray comes back, either way, he's going to be cheered. If he's a heel, cheered. If he's a face, cheered. There's no way to boo him because everybody has been anticipating him coming back.
The only ones that are going to boo him are the ones that wanted him to go to AEW.
I don't think in the last 30 years anybody is more anticipated to return than Bray Wyatt. Or at least the last 20 years. Like, even CM Punk's AEW debut doesn't even touch Bray.
Oh, yeah. What was that you showed me earlier? WWE is making a
CM Punk figure.
releasing a CM Punk figure?
They're also releasing an Ultimate Edition Jeff Hardy.
Well, that I can understand. Because that was recent.
That would be in product somewhere.
Right. That was already decided. But
CM Punk thing doesn't make sense to me. They're trying to cash in on something. Which also, again, leads me to believe that WWE and AEW are working together in some way.
Yeah, I agree. I've said that from the beginning.
It might not be on-air product, but they're working backstage politics together. 100%.
I've said that from the beginning. You know that.
And I know the marks aren't going to like that, but it is what it is. That's my opinion. Don't like it. I'm better than you.
Okay, MJF.
Well, I got to give them a little bit of their own, I'm not pro WWE. I'm not pro AEW. I'm pro wrestling. How's that? than pro sports entertainment. I enjoy what I watch when I watch it. And this weekend has actually, this week now, especially with Wyatt stirring the pot, it's made me a little more intrigued to tune in this week.
Yeah, because you really haven't been into it as much lately.
No, I'm mentally exhausted, and I'm not going to sit here and lie about that. Like, I am mentally exhausted from wrestling. But when stuff piques my interest, I'm going to pay attention. I'm still trying to do this with you guys. I am also extremely busy with my kids and their summer sports. I just don't have time. And I try to read up as much as I can.
If
So
anybody
you
out
guys
there
can
that's
blame me
no,
for the show being.
don't blame you. It's a whole bunch of different things. But if anybody out there is actually interested in joining up and helping us produce content, just reach out to either one of us, and we'll be glad to have a discussion with you and see what we can do from there.
You can find me on Discord. That guy Shadow 91. You can find me on TikTok if that's where you want to talk to me. I'm Canadian Jesus 91. Not give me my Facebook because that's a no. But yeah, or you can reach out on the channel here to us. We'll get the message.
That invite no longer works. Lovely.
But you guys can reach out. If I don't reach out right away, I'll get back to you. Same with Scouts. Eventually, we will answer. It will be within 24 hours of you messaging us.
But yeah, if anybody's interested, just reach out to us. You can either find us on here, on the YouTube channel, or even on Discord, like just itself. We're always open for a discussion. We're always looking to improve. We're always looking to expand. And
you want to come on for a one show to give yourself a test and see if this is the kind of style you want to do. We'll figure out somewhere to throw you in, and we'll see how you like it. It's not for everybody.
But we just wanted to come out to you tonight to discuss the Bray Wyatt situation going on. Hopefully you were interested in it. It's something you learned some stuff tonight. Maybe got you thinking about it. Like I said, for those watching on YouTube after we are live, just make sure to hit a like and subscribe. This way you can get notifications of when our new videos drop. And we hope you guys have a great evening. You got to add anything else, Shadow, before we go?
Let me in.
Nothing?
Let me in.
All right, guys. Well, I appreciate you coming out. It was a good discussion. If you have any theories that you want to add on to it, just drop it on the comment section, and we'll hit you back up. Have a good evening. Enjoy the next week and a half of wrestling.